Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. I bet you have a heap of paper scraps that you're keeping because you know that there are 1,000,001 ways to use them up, right? Well, here's yet another idea. In this tutorial, we will be using paper scraps and magazine images to create beautiful projects that you can apply in your bookmaking, junk journaling, card making, decorating, art journaling, and art in general. All right, let's get started. All you need for this project is, of course, your paper scraps and some type of a human image, because our focus today is paper art dresses, or more specifically, skirts. You can, however, use the same concept to create any shape you desire, such as houses, trees, tags, hearts, mushrooms, butterflies, etc. These examples I have here were done in separate tutorials, so I will link those in the description box if you want to have a look. But for now, let's just stick with skirts. All right, so the first thing you want to do is go through your stash and find some type of a human or a fairy or some type of a whimsical character. So first thing you might want to do is have a look through your magazine images. And I'm just showing you here, I'm going to tell you what this is all about in a moment. But I'm kind of looking at images where the arms are behind the skirt, or kind of like in this image here, the arms are up above the skirt, because it will be difficult, you know, designing a skirt when the arms are in the way. So basically, as long as you have the waist down free, that's going to work. So you can see the arms are away, and up here the arms are up. These are all images from books. You can see that. So when I first started looking through my magazine images, I really wanted to make like a vintage feel of an image. I wanted to take away the fact that it's a modern image. And that's why you can see this. And basically what that is just tea bags that I've glued on top. These things. So it makes an image look very kind of old and vintage. That's what I was going for. I just want to show you this image here was from an ad. You can see how modern looking this girl is, and she's very modern looking with modern hair. And sometimes if you're trying to go for that vintage kind of look, it's very difficult to marry the two, modern look and vintage. And I was really struggling with this image here. I'm going to insert a photo of what I was planning to do with this. So I really was struggling with this one, and I ended up putting that skirt on this image. So I abandoned this one altogether. You, on the other hand, however, might want to go for a modern look. It doesn't have to be kind of vintage, this vintage kind of style, right? It all depends on your image. This one I absolutely love, and I have to say this is my favorite one. I love this whimsical image. If you can draw and paint, imagine the possibilities, endless. Or even if you have stamps, you know. The image I'm showing you here came from this book, Art by Marlene, and it's got a whole bunch of these whimsical, beautiful images. I got this at a craft fair, so I can't really leave a link or anything like that. So those are your kind of options. I just want to show you another thing that I did in my art journal. Again, I used a modern image. That was an ad for swimwear, I think it was. But I went with this kind of summery, kind of flowery look, and you can see that skirt there. I'm showing you these options so that you can kind of see the array of differences between the images that you can use for this project. I think the best kind of option would be to design your skirts and then draw the image if you can do something like that. Today I choose to do this vintage image and also this whimsical image. So I'm gonna go with these two different options. And finally, let's begin. So you have your image. We're going to start with this one here, and you want some type of scrap piece of paper or any piece of paper, and then you're going to basically draw your skirt design, a shape, I should say. So perhaps for this image I might do something like this. Does this look good? Not really. So here we go, something like this. I mean, I struggle with this part because my sense of drawing, I don't have sense of like where should I stop and how should this look, but I'll just go with it anyway. So that's my first skirt. Okay, and now I'm just gonna do something for this one here. We could give her like a mermaid. That would be cool. Mermaid skirt. Mermaid tail. I'm gonna go with that. All right, so once you have drawn your shape, you're going to cut it out. The bottom of the skirt doesn't really matter so much because it ends up being different anyway, but these lines here, where the most important part is where the waist kind of begins, it has to align with the image. And then you just double check. That will be okay. All right, so that's that one. And now my mermaid tail. Oh, I love how that's gonna look. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier to do a mermaid tail. Okay, here we have it. So these are our, I think I have to do this one again because you can see how when she's standing straight, the skirt goes this way. I'm gonna have to redo this one. All right, I'll go with this. For some reason, it's not really sitting well, but I'm just gonna go with it and see what happens. Okay, now that we've got our shapes, you get your paper strips out. I'll just do one at a time. So at this point, what I do is, of course, look at the image and the colors, and then I try to match the colors in the image. That's one of the ways. Otherwise, you can just do whatever you want. All right, perfect. And I also have some book pages, and usually I start with the book pages on the sides of the skirt. And I'm not worried about the edges, or now at this point, I'm just haphazardly gluing stuff down. And I just want to make sure that I'm covering the edge of my skirt. So all of that is covered because we're going to cut it off later. And then, of course, I'm just going to go down, and you can really let your image, you can do strips this way, you can do all sorts of ways. You want to make sure that you cover that skirt. I mean, this looks pretty fun too. You just want to cover the whole thing in any way that speaks to you. And as you can see, I'm ripping the edges. I actually don't want any straight edges in the skirt. All right, so here is what I have at the moment, and the colors go really nice with the image. And now what we're going to do is turn it around and cut out the shape. So remember, the waist part is the most important. This here, we can play around with this here. So I've been using my zigzag scissors. I'm not sure if it's going to work for this image, but I'm going to use the zigzag scissors to cut the edge. Otherwise, you can just use your normal scissors. But the waist, I like to be really precise. So I use my normal scissors, starting somewhere there up the top, and then just following the lines that I've drawn. And now it's just a matter of putting it against the image and seeing if it corresponds. All right, so that's how it's looking at the moment. At this point, I'm gonna start kind of trimming the skirt down because you can see how long I had it before. I'm still gonna keep it longer, but we can just start getting rid of these straight edges. And you just keep on making little amendments until you're happy with the shape. We're just looking at the shape still. Okay, I'd say that I'm happy with the shape at the moment. Would have been nicer to kind of for the skirt to come out even more here on the side, which of course I can. I can just keep on adding. Like I could do a bow, something like this maybe. I wonder if I could add an actual bow to the image and how that would look. And that's actually the next part that we're going to do, is just make everything, you know, come to life. That's not really, you know, it's not working, is it? It would have to be like a side-on bow. I don't know, I can't think right now, but I think I want to give this skirt a little bit more volume. All right, so now that we're happy with the shape, I'm happy with the shape, now you can go ahead and do whatever your heart desires. I'm gonna show you what I've done in mine, and then of course I'm gonna decorate this one. But you can see here, I went in, oh yes, the first thing that I do is I like to give the skirt a little bit of life. So I just go in with a black kind of liner and just give it some wiggle lines, just to give it a little bit of movement and life, barely visible. Next thing I like to do is ink the edges, just to give it more of a defined look. And then I usually take it to my sewing machine and start adding some stitchings, and I'll show you what I've done in these ones, just so you can get ideas. For example, this one here, you can see the stitching here. You can also see the black wiggly line. You can see the rickrack, gold rickrack that I used. Have some sequin hearts here, and that's pretty much all I did on this one. Gave her a little belt. Usually I do the belt kind of last. If you're not going to be using your sewing machine, then make sure that all of your pieces of, you know, your strips of paper are glued down. I also left all of the strings because I think it adds to the 3D effect or the movement of the skirt. On this one here, you can see how alive this one looks, like lots of things happening, lace, flowers for a belt. I even have some ribbon sewn on there. You can see the wiggly line stitching and the black wiggly lines stitching across the bottom, and some sequins there as well. And then, you know, other things, we'll come back to those other things later. This one is really simple, didn't really do much on this one here. You can just see the stitching. I took it to my sewing machine and just stitched some wiggly lines and gave her a belt, and kept that one quite simple. So you can see how different these two are, and I love them both. So I'm thinking for this one, I only have this much of this gold rickrack left, so I'm thinking I might pop this on. I even have some of this brown one, so that might work as well. And then I think this kind of thing would also look quite nice. We can have a bit of lace down, even though it's supposed to be only paper, but you know, we can do something like, you can do this with all lace or all fabric. We can do something like this. We can give her a little, like a little mini skirt there up the top. Let's see how that would look. Wouldn't be a mini skirt, but kind of like a belt. That would look quite nice, I think. So maybe this is something that I'm gonna go for. So the only thing that I can point out at this stage, when you're doing some type of a belt or something here, what can happen is the skirt is going to become really chunky in 3D, and then you have this flat image at the back, and sometimes that can cause a bit of disconnect, if that makes sense. This isn't really showing as much in the video as it is in real life, but like the thickness of the belt and then the flat image behind it makes it look so obvious that it's not one piece, which kind of is the point, but sometimes it doesn't translate well. It's looking quite good in the video, actually. I don't know, in real life it looks a bit more obvious to me, but when I'm looking on screen it looks perfectly fine. Anyway, so keep that in mind. So first thing, of course, I'm going to do is sew some wiggly lines. I'm going to add this rickrack. I'll do it all on camera, but I'm going to speed up the process. And then the last thing I'm going to do is the belt. I'm first going to do just some wiggly lines. And that way I'm adding some movement, but I'm also stitching all the pieces together because I didn't really bother with the glue, you know, to make sure that everything's glued down. Now I'm going to start popping on the rickrack. I don't love it, the straight line. So of course all of this stitching is optional. You can just glue stuff down. You don't have to stitch if you don't have a sewing machine. Okay, so that's kind of how it's looking so far. And now with this lace, I'm just wondering if I still should add it. I'm gonna call this skirt done for now. So next thing I want to do is this here. I'm going to speed all of this up. I'm going to do this mermaid tail, and I'm going to choose like really lively colors. Okay, I have no idea how this is going to look. It could be a total fail, but I will cut it out nevertheless and see what I'm dealing with. All right, let's see. Oh, that's not looking very good. Oh, it's looking quite bad. That is not looking good. So I'm gonna sew some of this. Well, I'm gonna go and do something with this, and I'll come back and show you when it's done. How's that? All right, so here's my little mermaid tail, and I'm still not happy with how this is looking. And when you're not happy with how things are looking, that's when you start coming in with other things, such as I've sewn these on, but let's you start gluing down maybe some flowers. You can see flowers down here. Lots of things happening on this one here, and also this one here. So because this is like a mermaid tail, I don't think flowers would go, so I'm just gonna go with circles. Buttons would also be pretty cool to use, maybe not on this one, but in general I think that will do. So if you've ever had the desire to be a fashion designer or something like that when you were little and ended up being something completely different, this type of thing is going to satisfy that unmet need, let's say, because you can just really play. And when I say play, I actually mean play. Like, you could pretend you, I don't know if this is a little bit silly, but you can pretend for 5 minutes a day that you work for a famous designer house, and you know, you're like a character from Bold and Beautiful. Who here watches Bold and Beautiful? Let me know in the comments down below. So Bold and Beautiful, of course, is a soap opera, and basically the storyline is, you know, it's a fashion house, and they're all rich and famous designers, and they don't do any actual designing. It's all about, they just pretty much just sit around talking about that thing that happened yesterday, and she said this and he said that, and she's cheating and he's cheating, and the typical kind of soap opera stuff, right? But it takes you away from the mundane, everyday kind of life, and you get a glimpse into the glamorous type of life, I suppose. And I mention it because, of course, it's a designing house, like a famous designing house, and they sit around designing clothes and stuff, which is kind of like what I'm doing now, having a little bit of a play, because who says that we can't play just because we're grown up? And yes, I know it can seem petty and unimportant in the larger scheme of things, considering the things that are happening around the world and all that serious stuff. Well, that's not going anywhere, that's for sure. It's gonna be there whether you play or not. All right, I'm going to stop being a fashion designer for the mermaids and call this lady done. And now, of course, I'm going to finish this off by applying it to an actual project. So, of course, you can apply them to your journal covers or your cards or really anything you've got going on. What I've done here is just decorating some file folders, as you can see. So that's what I'll do with this one. And then I also made this kind of thing where I have a little notepad on the inside. So I've made 2 of those. You can see here. And that's what I'm going to do with the mermaid. So I'm going to start with this one. I have my boring looking file folder. I might go ahead and ink some edges first. And now I'm going to see what I want to do. You know, if I want to add other pieces, if I want to have some book pages. You can see here I have a little bit of a collage underneath, and on the other ones I have a doily and some flowers. So I think for this one here, I might just decorate just around this circle. Perhaps something like this, so I know sort of what I want to do. Usually I would take a photo, but I'm filming with my phone, so I'm going to start by gluing this piece down. Next thing I'm going to do is glue the skirt down. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue the flowers down. And here we go. So that's what that's looking like at the moment. The flowers are glued down, and I also wanted to show you this one, which looks quite glorious compared to this one. So there's still a bit of work that I'm going to do on that one. This one here, the skirt is actually acrylic paint. It was in a tutorial that I did on how you can make acrylic paint skins. I'll show you some of the skins, and I will also link the tutorial in the description box if you want to have a look. This is just acrylic paint. These are the two that I did in the tutorial, and look how glorious this looks. Absolutely beautiful. Imagine making a skirt out of this. And this, look at this. How cool is that? Acrylic paint, all that is. So as you can see at this stage, all we're doing is just, you have your skirt, you have your thing, and we're just gonna decorate, and it can go so many different ways. And you just keep going until you're happy. Look, I have some buttons here and lots of flowers and sentiment and bling and, you know, fun stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm thinking of maybe adding these little flowers down on the bottom of the skirt, and then I'm thinking perhaps putting a little bow here on her butt. Maybe something like this. I mean, it's probably going a bit overboard, but why not? You know, why not go for extravagant? I actually don't mind this look. All right, so that's all glued down now, and I quite like it. Perhaps I'm not in my element today because I am a little bit sick, as you can probably hear from my voice. I'm gonna just trim these down. As you can see, I've left most of the strings because I think it adds character, let's say. But this can go in so many different ways, and you know, you can really have fun with your little design, your fashion house. And now I'm going to speed this one up, and I'm gonna make a little notepad. I actually think that this image that she's doing a handstand, that's what's happening here. I just realized, but that's okay. We can pretend that she's swimming or she's just really happy. All right, here's what I decided to do, just playing around with a whole bunch of circles because she's swimming, you know, in the ocean, and she's saying hello. So now I just have to glue all of this down, and I'll be right back. And here she is, all done and glued, and she's quite happy in her little mermaid world there. And then here we go, two different kind of results. One is a bit whimsical, the other one is modern, vintage. I love how it turned out. She is very serious though, isn't she? Maybe I could give her a little Mona Lisa smile. Nailing the 2024 look right there. She's definitely very modern and fashionable now, isn't she? No, I'm just joking. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to say today. Using up your paper scraps to make art or to make beautiful projects. I especially love this one. Perhaps not this tinselly kind of thing that I have going on the skirt, but I love this. And the reason why I did this is because when I put the skirt up to her waist, it just didn't look good. So this kind of looks as if she's trying it on or something like that. I am going to make this into a notepad, but I'm pretty sure that this video is quite long, quite a bit longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to do that in my own time. But basically all I did is just, you know, some pieces of paper, all different types, going from larger to smaller to smallest, obviously, sewn them all together and then glued that on the file folder, so I didn't sew right through the file folder. And then of course, you know, this, I have this in hand, but we can decorate kind of the top of that as well and make it look really nice. We can just keep going on and on. But I think I'm going to leave it there today. I wish I could position them so that you can see all of them at once, but unfortunately I can't. So there we have it. I hope you feel inspired. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.